that just isn't, for lack of a better word, isn't self-contained. There's a lot of story, and if you have to pick out one episode, it's going to have to be the climax of that story.
So, if that's all the emails, I've got to ask you the same question, Brent. What is your favourite episode, if you can think of one?
Ooh.
I have prepared mine in my head.
Good. And see, the problem is, again, I don't have favorites. There are a lot of episodes I like for lots of different reasons. I would.
Confirm mine.
Yeah. And it's easy to cheat with things like Cowboy Bebop, because you get those self-contained episodes. Not that it's cheating, but still. Gosh, I haven't really thought about it very much. What I would have to go with, and it's going to sound weird, the first episode of Mobile Suit Gundam, the original Gundam, because there's so much communicated and so much going on in that first episode that it really comes together and just really establishes a lot of stuff, and in a way that's very clear. You kind of understand the stakes, you understand the characters, and just, for me, it's a really impressive bit of work. So, how about you, Matt?
Episode 14 of Toara Medusa no Index. It was just incredibly exciting for me. It's just I liked the. It was the end of a story arc, so it was still the end.
There we go.
But it was a really, really good story arc. I loved the whole story arc of clones being killed and all this. The disregard for human life kind of thing. And the main character Toma beats the bad guy. And that's good. And he does it with such an epic, just right hook, bang, straight in the face. And I absolutely screamed at the computer. I was like, yes, get in there, because you're happy when that happens. And I got excited, and that's probably why it was my favourite episode, because I just got so excited. And in Toara Medusa no Index, I love the whole sort of, awkward love between Toma and Misaka.
Okay.
And I really like that. And this is a Toma and Misaka story arc. It's like with the second season of Toara Medusa no Index, I'm just constantly thinking, yes, more of it, more Misaka and Toma interaction. And when it's interrupted by some sort of main storyline, I'm kind of like, no, stop it. That's why it was my favourite episode, because it just all mixed really well and was enjoyable.
Yeah. In fact, if I can go back, I would almost say one of my other favorite things would be actually the first episode of High School of the Dead. Just the first episode. That was fantastic zombie survival horror. There was, there was a little fan service, but it wasn't getting in the way at that point. And it was movie quality construction, and it was exactly what it said on the tin.
Yeah, it did give the whole, and it was before the point where the title became redundant.
True.
Where the end of episode 5, where they're not in the high school anymore. I agree wholeheartedly. High School of the Dead episode 1 was probably the best episode of them all. The whole series has a couple good moments, but it doesn't have that same kick that the first episode had.
So that's a good question. So here's the question for next week, as we promised. What is your favorite anime soundtrack?
Ooh.
So your favorite show's soundtrack, and it can be the entire, all of the CDs and albums within that soundtrack. What is your favorite? And I should point out, this should be your personal favorite. Not necessarily like the greatest thing ever in an absolute sense, but what is the one that just gets to you constantly?
So is this a specific song from an anime, or just in general the whole orchestral stuff?
The whole soundtrack. All of the music.
Wow. I'm trying to think, what was the show that had all the music in it that I really liked?
Well, that'll be the question for next week.
Matthew cannot think. I can do remembering.
I have one, and I think it'll surprise people a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, so I think that is it for this week. As always, thank you, Matt, for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure having you, and we will see you all next week. Take care.